Hi students, in this video we are going to see different functions and their graph. It is a very important concept. The first function that we are going to see is modulus function. It is very important. Without having basic knowledge about this modulus function, you cannot study integral calculus and differential concepts clearly. So first we will see what is the meaning of modulus function, what it will do. In case when we say addition function, it means that two or more inputs will be added together and the final result will be sum of the inputs. If the function does the work of difference between the two numbers, means it will subtract the smaller number from bigger number and it will produce the difference. Multiplication functions means it will multiply the inputs given. Similarly, modulus function means, please listen carefully, modulus function means this function gives distance between origin and the given input in the number line. If it will give, in case if we give plus 2 as an input for this function, means it will find out the distance between the origin and plus 2. That is, origin means in the number line we can assume it as 0 to 2. What is the distance? It will calculate. It will be equal to 2 units. So this modulus function always produces positive value as an output because distance is always denoted in positive. Hence the modulus function output is positive real numbers. It will never produce negative. We will see some more example based on this concept, and then we will come to mathematical explanation of modulus function. Students, please pay attention to this function. It is a very important concept. Now we will see some examples based on this concept. Now the function is modulus x. Modulus x is denoted as this. These two perpendicular lines, and in between it we write x. Now we are giving 2 as an input. 2 as an input to this modulus function. You know that it always gives distance between origin and 2. If you look at the number line, origin is 0 and 2 is there. The distance between 0 and 2 is 2 units. Hence the output is 2 units. Now we are giving next input as minus 2. So when this input goes inside this function, what happens is it will check the distance between origin and minus 2. If you look at this, it is equal to 2 units. Please listen carefully. When we are giving minus 2, it gives plus 2. When we are giving plus 2 as an input, again we get plus 2. Now I am going to explain some important concept here. If you understand this, it will be very helpful to understand this function clearly. So please observe it. When we give minus 2 is an input, right? This input goes inside and we are getting plus 2 here, right? Plus 2 is the output. This plus 2 can be written as minus of minus 2, right? Minus into minus is plus. Plus 2 will be produced, right? So this plus 2 can be rewritten as minus of minus 2. We know that this minus 2 is an input. So in this place of minus 2, we can write the term input. This minus sign as it is. So minus of input. This 2 can be written as minus of input, that is minus into minus 2, right? So this output can be written as minus of input. Here what we do is we are writing the output in terms of input. We are writing equivalent term of this output in terms of input. For example, when we write 5 meter, means that 5 meter can be written in the terms of centimeter. Similarly, 5 kilometer can be written in the form of 5 meter. Similarly, this output can be written in the form of input. That value, that output is equal to minus of input. We know that input can be denoted as x. The input is denoted as x. This minus sign is written as it is. So when we give minus value, that is negative value, as an input, the output can be written in the form of input, that is minus of input. Here x itself is a negative number. That negative number is multiplied by another minus sign to get the positive output. So you please understand this concept clearly. Now if you observe this input, plus 2, that is positive number is given as an input, positive number is received as an output. Now this output can be written in terms of input, means we can write the same thing, that is input, because output itself is directly equal to this input. So this 2 can also be written in the form of input as input, and then this input can be represented as x, as you know. So when we give positive number as an input, we are getting output. That output can be written in the form of input as plus x. When we give plus x, so plus a positive number as an input, we are getting the output. That output can be written in the form of input as plus x. And then if you observe this, when we give negative number as an input to this function, it produces positive number. That positive number can be written in the form of input, that is minus of minus 2. In that place of minus 2 we can write input, because input is equal to minus 2, and then we know that this input can be written as x, so minus of x. So when we give negative input, we can express it as minus of input. Similarly, now you can understand this very clearly. When we give minus 3 as an input, it will find out the distance between minus 3 and origin. It is equal to 3 units. Hence always distance is positive, hence we put plus 3. Now we need to express this 3 in terms of input, means this plus 3 can be written as minus of minus 3, because here input is minus 3. Now in this place of minus 3 we can write the word input, and this minus sign as it is, and this input can be denoted as x. So when the input is negative number, it can be expressed in terms of x as minus x. When the input is positive number, the output can be expressed in terms of x as plus x. Please remember this concept. This will play a very important role. Now you can understand this. When x is equal to 2 means f of x, when x goes as an input means we will get modulus 2. Modulus 2 means it produces plus 2, and then minus 3 goes as an input, it produces plus 3. Based on what we learned here, we are writing this f of x. F of x is nothing but our y, that is output. Output is equal to plus x, meaning here we are writing output in terms of x. We write plus x if x is greater than or equal to 0. When the input is positive, here input is positive, x is greater than or equal to 0, means non-negative integer, right? Non-negative number. So when input is x is greater than or equal to 0 means x is either positive or 0, and it produces the output. That output can be expressed in terms of input as x. That is what we wrote here. And then when the input is negative, less than 0 means you know that it is negative. Then the output is plus 2. That plus 2 can be written as minus of x, minus of input, because x itself is a negative number. This x can be compared with minus 5 because x is a negative number. Minus 5 and then minus means it will become plus. Actually the plus x is written here as minus of x because x itself is a negative number. So when the input is negative, the output can be written in terms of input as minus x. When the input is positive or equal to 0, the output f of x or output y can be written in terms of input as plus x. I hope you understand this. Based on this, now we will go to mathematical information of this modulus function. You know that it gives the distance between origin and the given input. Now let f is a function from set of all real numbers to set of all real number. It means that real number, set of all real numbers is the domain, set of all inputs, and then this R, that is set of all real numbers, is the codomain. Now f is such that f of x is equal to modulus x for each x belongs to, or here x is given as input that belongs to set of all real numbers. Then the output f of x is equal to modulus x, which is equal to x when the input is greater than or equal to 0. We know that when the input is positive, the output can be written in terms of input as plus x. Similarly, f of x, that is output y, is equal to minus x, that is the output is expressed in terms of input as minus x when x is less than 0. We know that when x is less than 0, that is when x is negative, it produces the output plus 2, but it can be expressed as minus x. I hope you understand this. and we know that modulus x is greater than 0 for all x, because modulus x means it talks about distance. Distance is always positive. That is what is explained here. Modulus x is always greater than 0 for all input. Domain of f, as per this function, we know that it is set of all real numbers. Then this R is a codomain. Codomain contains output and some extra elements, but range of function means it contains only the output produced by this function. This function, modulus function, always produces positive real number or 0. Hence, range of this function can be written as set of all non-negative real numbers. I hope you understand this modulus function clearly. It will play a very important role in your maths, in the future maths. Thank you students. Thanks for your cooperation.